everybody. Welcome to Then Now Whenever. Unfortunately, the usual host, Shawn Michael, could not be here. So this is just Mindy Mack, and hopefully I can get somebody else to join me. I've been told that we have a good guest coming.
Hey guys.
All right, I was going to play in.
Oh,
but
sorry.
That's okay. No music for you.
I don't really need music. I don't need a...
I wrote you the song.
Oh, no. I mean, you can still play it.
No, it's fine. You're already here.
I'm
All right.
horrible. Sorry,
Welcome,
guys.
welcome to Then Now Whenever. It is a show about wrestling after when John Cena showed up. This is Mindy Mack. This is my wife.
Hi.
Tonight we are going to talk about the women's revolution, Divas Revolution, women's evolution, hashtag give Divas a chance, etc. And
We're talking about lady wrestlers.
we're talking about lady wrestling and how much more emphasis WWE has put on lady wrestling in the last few years. All right.
All right.
So, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Married to that guy.
Uh-huh.
As far as my wrestling history, I guess, goes, when I was really young, well, 7, 8, I was super into wrestling. Like Hulk Hogan was my jam, which stupid young me.
We didn't know. It's okay.
Yeah, the one thing that I always think about is I was so into wrestling. I remember when Hulk Hogan lost to the Ultimate Warrior and it crushed my little I cried for a good 20 minutes threw myself on my bed, was so upset that this had happened.
You weren't into the power of the Warrior?
No, I mean, obviously I did like the Warrior, but I mean, Hulk Hogan, he was my man. He was my man.
A real American.
I was.
Not one of those jerk fake Americans who like the galactic cosmos of the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, no, I was definitely
Warrior rights. I don't remember any of his shtick.
I definitely was a Hulk Hogan fan all the way. And then I got older and I just was out of it. I
like most kids, you grew out of it.
I did.
Moved on and found other better things.
I did. And then I started dating you.
That's true.
And you were just like, hey, I like wrestling. Guess what? You need to like wrestling too, or else this is never going to work, basically.
Well, you have to accept wrestling. You have to...
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for?
It just makes it easier.
You have to endure wrestling.
Well, that's true.
So.
And endure it I have.
Yes,
but
you
I
have.
also have, at some points, embraced it. I wore my Mustache Mountain shirt today. They are, I was going to say they're independent wrestlers, but they're really not. They've shown up quite a bit.
At this point, they're part of NXT.
Yeah. And
Tyler Bate and Trent Seven, who is your boy.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's... my heart flutters every time he shows up.
You love his dad bod.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. He is... we went on vacation. There is an independent wrestling company called Chikara that Jesse absolutely loves.
From the Lehigh Valley?
They're from the Lehigh Valley.
Shout out to...
Billy and stuff,
WLVU, the radio station that we're on right now that I forgot to call out before. I'm getting there.
So, so we actually planned our vacation around a 3-day wrestling tournament that they have, and I remember it was intermission, and I was like, I don't know what to do, I'm a little bored, and Jesse said, well, you could talk to your husband, and I legit thought he was talking about
Trent.
Yeah.
I actually just meant hey, we can talk. This is a good way to kill
no,
time.
I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to that.
I'm okay.
Yeah. A handsome mustachioed man who
To be fair, you talk to me all the time.
I do.
How often do you get to talk to a WWE superstar?
I've talked to a couple of people before.
That's the wonderful thing about independent wrestling.
Yeah.
Is, when you're not all the way at the top, whether you're either getting your way there or coming back down, you get to talk to the fans because that's how you get your money.
That's it. But I do like the fact that when people show up, I can be like, oh, hey, I have a picture of me with that wrestler before he was super famous. And then I show them to my nephew Jackson, who loves wrestling, and he is super unimpressed by the people that I've met. So it grounds you. You're not that important.
Yes. All right. Before we get any further and really get into the meat of the women's wrestling,
of course,
I want to talk about what's happening this week in WWE.
Of course.
This week in WWE, Sasha Banks beat up Bayley in a locker room brawl. This was the only thing that happened on Raw. Rusev was added to the triple threat match for the U.S. title at WrestleMania. Maybe now it'll be watchable. Daniel Bryan called out Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens to challenge them to a tag match at WrestleMania. Getting fired means nothing around here. Tommaso Ciampa gets Johnny Gargano in an unsanctioned fight at TakeOver New Orleans. See what I mean? John Cena made faces at The Undertaker, but the dead man still doesn't care. I feel like you're wasting my time here, guys. The Riot Squad was there. Shinsuke Nakamura ran at AJ Styles for a knee to face, but then stopped short and patted him on the head. And that's what happened this week in WWE.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Riot Squad.
The Riot Squad.
Yeah, some ladies.
Always there.
Ladies, yeah.
That's Ruby Riot, actually one of the women who we got to see come up through Chikara.
Yes, I adore her. She
Yes.
was always super nice whenever we would see her.
She is the best.
Yes,
She's so nice.
I'm going to get into...
Your problems with
not her, because
Yes.
my problem's not with her. I really enjoy her.
Do we want to go off on that tangent right away?
I mean, we could.
Let's do it. My wife hates the hair extensions, and I can't say I disagree.
I just don't understand the point of them. Like, she had that awesome, like, half-shaved, short haircut.
Yeah.
Made her look so badass. I loved it. With the tattoos, she looked amazing. And then she shows up one week with what is obviously like fake hair.
6 pounds of hair stapled to her head.
That's it. You don't just that. How much hair doesn't grow overnight? And I just feel like it wasn't really her choice to do that, because all of the women have to have this long fake. I just don't like it.
From looking at the other women in the company, it's either a company mandate or some kind of like a hive mind, where it's like, well, man, I wish I didn't have this short hair because I love the way Sasha's rocking her weird long extensions and her weave, and I love how long Charlotte's hair is, and Carmella's hair is just beautiful, and all this long hair everywhere. And
true. But wouldn't you want to stand out? Like, that's my thing. Why would you want to be a part of... Stand out. Make yourself noticeable. And I think that her badass look does it. I mean, you also have Paige, who looks like a badass, but she... You know, a more feminine...
Yes.
Makeup-y, girly badass than Ruby Riot. And... I love her, though. I do. I think she's great.
I love her.
She's awesome.
Got a face like a bird. A little bit.
But she's great, though. I really enjoy her.
A wonderful wrestler, wonderful person. I'm so happy that she's found success.
Yeah. All right. So, let's hop on in there, J-Bones.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to talk about from current wrestling before we jump in? Because I feel like we are ahead of pace.
No, I think
Sean is very good at the pacing. I'm trying to find my way.
I'm a fast talker, so I apologize.
That's okay. Well, let's talk about the problem before we talk about the evolution.
Okay.
Women's wrestling is particularly in WWE, but in general, has always been sort of the sideshow attraction.
Yes.
You know, if you think about wrestling having been from a carnival background.
Yes.
You know, they were something that was an oddity, and that was the attraction, which is really insulting, but that seems to be the case.
Yeah. When I first was watching as a child, there were no women wrestlers. There just weren't. You had, the women were there as arm candy and to provide distractions, and look how pretty Miss Elizabeth was my jam too. Like, I love
Oh, she was so pure.
She was
wonderful.
Turns out that she wasn't, and that really upsets me.
I don't like to think about that.
No. So
when I saw her at WrestleMania 7, she was so pure.
Yes.
So that's all that counts.
Like, to me, that, if a woman in wrestling, that's what you were. You were just a manager. You were, again, someone to distract other people, or you're someone to be fought over. You're not fighting for yourself. Yeah. So,
and what little I do know of women's wrestling in that time, it seemed like maybe there were 3 women at a time, 4 women maybe. I know the names. I know Wendy Richter was the women's champion. Clue. In those early WrestleManias, and she ran out with Cyndi Lauper. I remember that video clip.
Oh, I do know Cyndi Lauper. I like her.
They did the Rock and Wrestling at WrestleMania 1. But I don't remember, like, there should be a lot more women to remember, but there aren't, because it wasn't a focus of the company.
No. Now, disclaimer, I wasn't during the, Attitude Era. I was not a wrestling fan. That stuff, even now, I find the blood and the... that was not my thing. It just wasn't for me.
There was a lot of juvenile behavior.
Oh God, I have
that was
no
the
patience.
big push.
Yeah,
and
no patience.
It's rough to go back and watch it now.
I can't.
Like I can't say that I love the PG era, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it being kid friendly. That I don't mind a kid watching it, especially since, like you said, our nephew Jackson loves wrestling.
Yes.
And I would be embarrassed. I'm embarrassed when they say hell damn and ass man.
I'm alright with
and
that.
Stuff. I'm not okay. It bothers me. But just because I'm thinking about it from the perspective of child and parent.
But I find it hard to watch, because to me that whole era was unnecessarily violent, but it's wrestling, so I kind of get it. And some people, ECW is huge. I get it. And there were times
they kind of pushed the industry in a direction for a while.
Yeah, when I got into my late teens, where it was like Friday night and like 11 o'clock at night, or I don't even know what time someone's gonna drag me for that. But like I was flipping through the channels and there were people wrestling and getting bloody, and I was like, oh my god, this is awesome, because I was like 15, 16, 17.
Again, it's not what you expected.
Yes.
I know that's what kind of got me into ECW as a teen.
Yeah.
Was I didn't understand that wrestling could be this way.
Yeah,
It was an amazing alternative product.
But I think what bothers me looking back at that, Attitude Era was just, it's so sexist.
Oh God.
It's so
It's
sexist.
bad.
And people did horrible things and were not held accountable for them.
Yeah.
I've talked at length, I really don't want to get into it that much, but everybody was like, oh, Stone Cold. I was like, yeah, but he beat the crap out of his wife, and
that is
it's
what
just
we
a
hear.
bad person, so
okay.
why are we celebrating this? But again, that's just me, and people that disagree with me, I'm sorry.
It happens.
Just me.
No,
but I found that it was just a very sexist
it
time
seems,
too.
even during that time, the female empowerment was like, oh my God,
wow.
Sable, she's getting out there and wrestling with the men and taking her top off because it's her choice.
That is not her choice. I'm sorry.
It leaves a bad taste in your mouth when you're nearing 40 like we are.
Oh, stop.
I know, it hurts.
No.
It hurts.
So when I first started watching wrestling with you again, and we talked about female wrestlers, I'm just like, oh great, here we go. I get to watch, when I get to watch a woman wrestle, I get to watch lingerie matches, and I get to watch like pillow fights, and oh no, this girl's gonna slap the other girl in the face. There's gonna be a lot of hair pulling, and that's because that's what
wrestling had been
and
for the most part. Yeah.
How does I don't understand why it was just accepted. Well, I'm glad it's not accepted anymore. That's what women are there for. They're eye candy and they can't wrestle, and it was upsetting. But
yeah, I was not watching wrestling during the time, but apparently the early to mid 90s actually had a bit of a boom.
Oh, really?
That's why I believe, was it last year or the year before, they had inducted Alundra Blaze into the WWE Hall of Fame, and she was the anchor of that time, where they really only had her, from what I can tell.
Okay.
But they brought in great women's wrestlers from around the world, particularly Japan.
Well, they don't mess around.
Where like that scene was actually booming, and a lot of the very innovative moves you see in wrestling were actually originated from the women in that time period, which is amazing to go back and watch. Like, oh, I didn't see. Like, I saw Shane Helms do that move on WCW in 1999. But as it turns out, it was like called the Bloody Valentine or something. It's like there was a move called the Vertebreaker, where you pick up a guy upside down and you kind of drop him on his head.
Ooh, that's not good.
When done well, it was not that bad. But if you slip, you're breaking a guy's neck, and no thank you.
Let's stay away from that stuff.
That was a great move, though.
Yeah, right.
That was a great, intense move. And sometimes a good finisher is enough to... I'm getting off track a little bit.
A bit.
In the early 90s, or in the early 2000s, Attitude Era coming right off of that, they did have a handful of good wrestlers.
Okay.
But for the most part, I would say Lita, from the look of it, was trained essentially to be... Like, she was brought in as a wrestler. Well, she was brought in as a valet. But she could wrestle. She had some kind of lucha background.
Yes.
She had more than most.
Yeah.
And I believe Ivory as well. She's getting inducted this year.
Oh, okay. Well, congratulations to her.
An original Woman of Glow.
Ooh.
The Gloria.
Yes,
gorgeous,
you know what?
Gorgeous ladies of wrestling.
Funny thing, I would, every once in a while, if it was on, we would watch Glow on like Saturday. I don't remember the exact day. But I do remember watching that because those were women who actually wrestled. It wasn't just slapping and screaming. And,
But most of them were either models or sometimes you would have like strength athletes, but it wasn't anybody who knew wrestling going in. Like one of the most revered names of the time is Trish Stratus. Oh, I can't do an SHST sound in the row. How about that? Trish Stratus. But she came in as eye candy. She actually managed a group called TNA because it was Test and Albert, and the joke was, ha ha ha, look, she has giant boobs. This is TNA. Do you get it? That's great stuff.
I wish that people could hear how hard I'm rolling my eyes at that.
Yeah, you gotta check out the Facebook video and look at how hard she rolled her eyes there.
I'm gonna do it again.
There's some incentive. But she eventually became a very good women's wrestler, and that happens a lot.
Yes, yeah. You know what? It's always nice, even with men too. It's always nice to see them when they show up, say in NXT, and you can tell that they're still like they have that foundation, but they just are improving and improving. And that's one thing that I've loved watching when it comes to these women is watching them just get better and better and better.
Yeah.
And then you have the ones that just don't, and we're gonna get into that because I have like a probably 20-minute rant about someone that I absolutely hate. So
I will try to keep that down to 10 minutes. But yes.
Anyway, so
yes,
yeah.
The demon herself.
I would set her on fire and send her to hell, but that's
Yep.
I wouldn't really do that.
So there were good wrestlers throughout time.
Yeah.
Your Mickey James,
Yes.
your Beth Phoenix.
Oh, I love it. For some
Natalia.
reason, when we first started watching wrestling,
It was
with
on the tail
you,
end of when
and
Beth
I
Phoenix
was just
around.
like, I was shocked because to me, I was like, oh my god, here is a woman that doesn't look like a model, is not.
She's beautiful.
Gorgeous. She is, and she could wrestle, and I loved that. I immediately was drawn to her and was like, that is the kind of woman I want to see wrestling on my TV. I don't want this, 6 foot, big boobed, scrawny woman who has no strength and again just screams. Because I find that shrill and hard to watch. But
it is really rough. I feel like if you are going to trace the women's evolution back, I mean, you can pick any number of points to start. I am going to start from season 3 of NXT, which was not a good showcase of women's wrestling by any means.
Okay.
But it planted some seeds, laid a foundation, because Caitlyn won that. Caitlyn was another strong woman who at that point didn't know anything about wrestling. She was a model.
Okay.
But she was also a fantastic nerd and a likable personality. And I talked on the show before, I feel like they paired her with Vicky Guerrero.
I love Vicky. I love her so much.
And that is a huge part of why she won,
Yeah.
is because it stuck it to Vicky Guerrero every time she went on one step further, and she gets that heat. It was an amazing thing to watch. Naomi got second on that season, and I kind of feel like she should have won, because she, again, not a wrestler from the start.
Wow. Yeah,
but she had, she was a dancer and cheerleader in that very athletic way that, they still tout her as possibly the most athletic woman on the roster.
I absolutely love her. I know that she came in as, a Funkadactyl, and she was, That
was her introduction to the main roster, eye
candy, and I paid no attention to her whatsoever when she was one. Then Total Divas started, and I was forced to watch it. It was thrilling. Anyway,
it's not bad.
But I started liking her on the show, and then they started actually letting her wrestle, and I was like, oh no, she's amazing.
Yeah,
I love her, and every time she shows up, even now with her glow thing I love it. I love all of it. So it's great.
I'm actually going to pause the show for a minute because you said the magic word.
Oh.
I'm going to cut to a song.
Oh, okay.
This is Naomi's current theme.
I love it. I love her.
Stick around, enjoy some of this, and then we'll come back and talk more about women's wrestling on WLVU and streaming live on Facebook on Then, Now, and Ever. Let's go. All right.
I love her so much. I think she's
real
great. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm trying to stay on track. Oh my god, you're so weird. I married this.
Yeah.
Married this, guys.
Yeah, I think we're doing okay so far.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay on track and not go off my tangents.
You're
but
doing
it's
good.
gonna happen.
Tangents are a big part of what make wrestling conversations good,
It's
and
coming.
you do not need to be afraid of them.
It's coming. You know it. You're gonna mention her name, and I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm just gonna shove you off your chair.
Maybe we can get through it without me mentioning her name. Let's see how that works. I know you're gonna put her name in your mouth.
I'm gonna make sure that I rant against her.
Yes.
So wait, what
The song's
song were you gonna play for me?
Oh, Nerd Pipe.
Oh my god! All right, maybe we can play that on the outro because I do love that song.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I'm so
I didn't discuss it enough with you.
Yeah.
I said, hey, I'll play you on. But
I
then
was
you
like,
just
okay.
kind of slid. It's not like, hey, I'll mention you and come.
Oh.
It's not important. It all works. It's all
love
working
that
out.
song.
I know. I wrote it for you, and it is my most truthful and honest song.
I know.
All of my other rap music is just kind of grating and fake.
No, it's
I mean, it's enjoyable, but
yeah.
I am not actually a gangster. I do not actually get down at the club with the ladies.
No, you don't.
Believe it or not.
Well, that's great.
But that is my pastiche of rap music. So
It's great. I think you are great.
I think I'm actually going to come back because the song gets a little bit repeaty.
That's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're coming back. That was a bit of Naomi's theme. I find CFO $, who does a lot of the themes currently, gets very repetitive, which is okay if you're listening to it until they get down to the ring, but it does not make for the best song to listen to for the entire length of the song.
You were grooving out pretty hard there.
Oh yeah, and I would have grooved out a fourth time, but it's the same 1 minute song repeated.
Yes.
That's a whole other conversation.
So, anyway, you were saying, season 3 to NXT and how much I love Naomi.
Yes. Caitlyn, Naomi, and AJ was the third one. And AJ connected immediately with the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
With her nerdy attitude and her fun-loving style.
She was so
and
great.
She's also flippin' adorable.
She is. That did help. She was adorable. But go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead. Yes.
Her and Caitlyn were an inseparable duo on that show as well.
You did tell me.
They were super friends. They actually teamed together sometimes as the Chick Busters.
Oh, nice.
Which was a play. There was a team called the Dude Busters.
Oh,
and so
well,
it's
that makes sense.
well, we're the Chick Busters, and they busted up some chicks.
Yes.
It's real good stuff. Yeah.
I feel like AJ, I want to say that she really paved the way. She was an amazing wrestler. That's the thing. She wasn't.
Yes.
It wasn't just screaming and pulling hair. However, even she was great, but they underutilized her, and I hate this horrible, still very sexist trope where she needed to be crazy. She couldn't be just fun, and she couldn't, she could just be this wrestler. Instead, they had to tie her to men. So she had to be obsessed with Daniel Bryan, and she had to be obsessed with CM Punk. I mean, I'd be obsessed with that too.
And apparently she was obsessed enough that he put a ring on it.
I know.
They married now.
Oh God, I love them, and if they ever would come back, I would actually enjoy wrestling.
It's that I really do miss CM Punk quite a bit. I might miss AJ more.
She was great.
She was great.
But I just hated the fact that
she was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, but they still just stuck her in that I'm pretty and I'm just going to be crazy obsessed with these men because that's my drive. My drive is to be good for these men, and I just don't like it.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yes.
I also have a second side to that.
Sure.
Because there wasn't really a foundation for her at the time.
Yes.
I'm glad that she got utilized in such a big way on
True.
television as a valet, essentially. And she did wrestle from time to time during that time period.
Yes.
But she didn't dominate for. I think she was on TV for about 2 years before she got her first championship, which seems absurd because she was head and shoulders above everybody else.
She was great.
Who was wrestling.
Yeah.
And Caitlyn got the first shot, which is kind of weird. Like, that is not the way I would have expected it. Mm-hmm. Even if she did win the season. But I actually found an interview with her, and this was something that was talked about, and she kind of sideways confirmed it without saying it outright. Mm-hmm. She won a battle royal for a number one contenders match at one point. Where it was,
Caitlyn. I was thinking, yes. Oh, we watched this today.
I showed it to you. Where Layla L was the champion. Layla's great. Another model, but she had such good personality that her 40% wrestling ability was great. Like, for the time period, great women's wrestling.
Yeah.
And she was going to face Eve Torres, who was another woman who, she won a diva search. Mm-hmm. She was complete garbage for a while. Actually, stuck to her craft. I think her boyfriend was a jiu-jitsu or judo guy. He was one of those big MMA type of fighters. So she was getting real knowledge and working it. Yeah. But it took her a few years to get there. Around this time, she was getting she was right there. Her personality was starting to come into effect in a big way. Mm-hmm. And so, story is that she was supposed to win this battle royal, face Layla, win the championship, and then they messed up the ending, and she was supposed to be clotheslined over the top rope, land on the apron, eliminate Caitlyn. Yes. But the first clothesline didn't work out, and so she did another one, hit too much power on it. She flipped Eve Torres flipped right out of the ring, and oops, Caitlyn won, and they kind of had to push her at that point. Yeah. Because if you're a number one contender, you can't dial that back. They did dial it back. They had her get attacked at the pay-per-view. Yeah. Eve did go on to in that match, and she did win the championship. But then when she lost the championship a few months later, however many months later, it was to Caitlyn. Oh, because she was the one kind of busting through. Yeah. They made a character out of her because she was strong. She wasn't the best wrestler, but she brawled well. Oh, good. And she had a believable strength aspect because she was so muscly. And also, she had that two-tone haircut that was terrible. but it made her memorable.
But it was
which is
so
important.
popular at the time, that two-tone hair, which...
Right, once Seth Rollins showed up, and it's like, oh, he's a reverse Caitlyn. That's great.
I could never rock that, but yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't even know if she could rock that, but
Yeah.
It was what it was.
So you feel like maybe that was the start.
That was sort of...
Like, oh, hey, guess what, guys? Women can wrestle, and they're not just here for eye candy or for men to fight over.
Well, the thing is, I feel like Caitlyn and AJ have a built-in rivalry and friendship where they kind of go back and forth between it. So once Caitlyn had her foot in the door, AJ was right in that main event scene.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and then once AJ was on top, pretty much nobody else touched that spot.
Yeah.
For a while, I believe she actually held on to the championship until Paige showed up. Which...
Oh, I do enjoy Paige.
Let's turn the page.
Oh, that was bad.
The worst segue. And take a moment to look at what was happening in NXT at the time.
Yes.
After NXT was a reality game show, it became their developmental service.
I am very familiar with NXT because you have said to me that you actually, at most points, enjoy NXT more than you enjoy the main roster because there is...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, just that it's... you don't have all those extra, I guess, storylines. I mean, there are storylines, but it's not...
It's only an hour a week instead of 5 hours a week.
Yes. Oh.
So they have to trim it down to only the important bits.
Yes.
Not every superstar is on every week.
Yeah.
So you have to tell more story with less, which is always better, essentially.
Yes.
And they actually there's good wrestling. It is meant to be the niche product for the people who want to see wrestling and wrestlers wrestling.
Yes.
Whereas WWE, it's a sports entertainment company. You're
yeah.
there for the spectacle and the moments.
Yes.
And no, I'm there for the wrestling, but I can understand where you get that wrong.
Yes.
So
NXT and women's,
NXT,
yes.
Paige, sort of they had a good foundation in NXT, but Paige was clearly a star.
Oh yeah.
Showed up, I want to say was it 2012, 2011, somewhere in there, and just immediately made waves, and. Her and then Emma came in, who you don't really think of as a big part of the women's evolution.
Yeah, Emma, no.
But she is an amazing wrestler who had the goofiest possible gimmick. And so it actually...
Just pop bubbles
she did
It's
funky
a weird
arm things at the beginning.
and...
She just had the worst dance, and she was lovably goofy. And it was very good.
Yeah. My mom is talking on the Facebook Live video and trying to hit on my husband. Hi, Mom.
That's nothing new.
Weirdo.
Used to it. Whatever. That's call you later.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
So anyway,
sorry.
Yes. But you know what? Those little weird gimmicks really bring people in, and then you can kind of build upon that. You know,
if you pop bubbles with your hands while you're doing your funky arms dance, that's not enough. But if you do that, and then when you get to the ring, you were able to turn that goofy awkwardness into a solid wrestler. Yeah. And that's the thing. She was a great wrestler who also somehow felt awkward still. So it felt like when she did well, it was against all odds. She kind of felt like an underdog. It was a great character. So you had Paige, you had Emma. And that's not that it's all you need, but that was all they needed to establish the women's championship down there. Notice it's the women's championship. Because they still refer to them as divas, but I think they were already kind of planting the seeds.
Which I liked, because that belt that they had I complained about it from day one. I was like, what? Oh,
you mean the vagina belt?
I was going to say that, like, what is this belt that is supposed to be a butterfly, but also is a vagina?
Yeah.
I just did not, it was not very subtle. And again, divas. I don't need to be called a diva. I think that there's a very negative connotation. I think I use that word correctly.
Yeah, you did.
When it comes to that, not all the time, but just
it means something. Yeah. It means something, like, and it's not okay.
I'm not a diva. I'm just a lady. Like,
right. It sort of sets it up where you're saying all of your women are intolerable and demanding.
Yes.
Because that's sort of what diva means.
Yes.
Whereas the men get to be superstars.
That's me, and I think that's my problem.
Even the lowliest man is a superstar.
Exactly.
All the women are divas.
And I think that again, put them on a lower level than the men. And there are some wrestling fans who still think, well, women are boring and they can't wrestle, and you can take that. And
good luck maintaining that when all of the women are interesting and great.
They are killing it.
Yes.
So yes.
So Paige won the first NXT championship.
Yes.
They started other women started showing up.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was Bailey first or Sasha Banks first.
Yes.
But both of them came in around like in a few months apart.
Yeah.
And they were both very good already.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Sasha had a lot of work to do on her personality, but once she
Yeah.
became the boss, she was locked in.
But that's what NXT is
That's
for.
what NXT is
to
for.
try out those different
Especially-
personalities
Yeah,
and everything.
especially back in the days. Like, they pretty much were doing it live on camera.
Yeah, yeah.
Nowadays, you don't get on TV until you're at least somewhere. But it's essentially NXT's a third brand now and not a developmental.
It is,
Yeah.
yes. Which is both good and bad because I feel like that you still need...
Well, now they can do it at live shows without being on
Yeah.
TV, and you can do enough stuff in their performance center,
Yeah.
which is sort of this all frills. It's all of your exercise equipment. It's
Yeah.
got like 7 rings. You get to work on promos. It's great.
People know what it is. It's okay.
You never know. You never know. So we've got these great women coming in.
Yeah.
Bailey was a blank slate. She eventually found her character as a fun-loving newbie who was overwhelmed with love for all of... She loved wrestling, and she was excited she was a fan. She was a fangirl.
Can I tell you that I really love the character that they have built for her?
Yes.
Or, you know, because a lot of the women still, even now, like, they have to have this attitude and be, you know, oh, look how tough I am. And, I mean, you're wrestlers, you have to have that. But I love the fact that she came in and was just like, look at me, I'm nice to everyone. I like everyone. I want to be everyone's friends.
Yes.
I'm typically a very bubbly person until you get me angry, and then not so much.
Yeah.
But I like that bubbly personality, and I connected to that. And I feel like kids, like you have that little Bailey girl that would show up at every NXT show that she was at, and they really are able to connect, I think, more with people like her.
Yes.
And it's people like her that are going to start getting these young wrestling fans, especially young girls.
Which is super important.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I feel like once Bailey... When you look at the long game for her, at least in NXT...
Yes.
She started off as a fan.
Mm-hmm.
She was getting wins, but she was always like super happy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, you're Ric Flair's daughter. This is amazing.
Yes.
And a lot of people turned on her. A lot of people beat her up, and she took it in stride and kept smiling.
Yeah.
And then she was able to turn the tables and underdog her way to the top.
I loved it.
And that's one of the things that when NXT does it well, it does it better than just about any other company in the world. It is that you get to watch that whole arc.
Yes.
And they usually don't start something unless they have a place to end it.
Mm-hmm.
And like that is one of the best arcs in the last decade of wrestling, is watching Bailey go from lowly fangirl to NXT champion.
Yeah, I loved it. And now I feel like she is easily transitioned from NXT to the main roster, which is not...
Yeah.
So many people have died trying to do that.
I feel like her biggest problem on the main roster is that she can't be an underdog because she's already established she's one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Yeah.
So she kind of floundered for a little while because they couldn't quite figure out what to do.
But I feel like she's really hit her stride.
They figured out how to not make her a pushover,
yes,
but still have her be friendly. She still has her heart, but she's not going to let you push her around, which is honestly an even better role model.
Yes. I am going to be upset when they full heel turn her and she turns into, like, goes from I'm happy and I still want to be people's friends to, like, I hate everyone and now I'm this angry person. And
I just wanted to be your friend and now you didn't accept me, so now I'm mad at you.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like it's got to happen at some point, and honestly, it's going to be kind of amazing. But let's push it off as far as we can because there's still more love in the world.
That's it. Yes, I need those friendly, happy people.
Maybe she'll be like. I actually remember when she was in NXT, thinking like if they use her right, she could be the the next John Cena. Not even hyperbole.
Yeah.
Like she could be the face of the company. You know, in a world where women can stand out and step on the same platforms as men, she has every bit as much. Outreach, like the fans are going to be just as excited to meet her, young fans, as they are to meet John Cena. She could be the one.
I feel like they're not that they're pushing her. I feel like Asuka is the one that they're more pushing to be the face of the women.
Asuka can't be stopped.
That's it. And I mean, I find her very interesting. I haven't really connected. She's again badass. I love me some badass ladies.
She is,
but I haven't connected with her the way I have with Bailey because I just. You know.
Well, Asuka has always been dominant.
She's a murder machine. That's what she's there for.
It's a bit harder to connect with her on a human level.
Yeah.
You're just there to see her just wreck house.
Yes.
and you're wondering when somebody's finally going to beat her. Who's going to figure out how you beat Asuka? Nobody has yet.
It's going to be me. No, it's going to be Jessie. Jesse's finally going to beat her.
No, I am not an intergender wrestler. Believe it or not.
So yeah. Let's see. What else were we going to talk about? Because we had a whole bunch of that.
We got sidetracked.
Oh, sorry.
A little bit. No, that's fine.
I did that.
So we have Sasha.
Yes.
We have Bailey. We have Emma and Paige.
Yes.
Charlotte showed up not too long after that.
Yes.
Ric Flair's daughter, who was green as goose poop, as they say.
Yes.
But she was, years of gymnastics, highly athletic. Once she started to figure out how wrestling worked,
yes,
she was right up there, and actually was the second person to hold that championship.
Yes.
When Paige won the women's or the Divas Championship on Raw, they decided that she has to vacate her NXT title.
Yeah.
Why did my brain? It doesn't matter. And so they had a tournament, and Charlotte won that, even though I think at that point she'd been wrestling maybe about a year, which seems crazy, but maybe it's in the genes. But she was right there at every step. She was performing at a near top level with almost no experience, which when you can see that in wrestling, it is a gift.
Yeah.
And she's gotten so much better since then, too. It's amazing how much better she's gotten.
I found her father to be really old, really old man creepy. I actually had a really hard time when he would show up. I'd be like, I can't watch this. I need to leave. And I have to say, I know that there was this big thing where, oh no, she's evil and being mean to her father. And looking back, I was like, well, that's necessary. I'm sure that he's a nice guy and also kind of creepy, who probably stares at the young girls' bodies. But whatever.
It's the way his mouth, his smile hangs open. Once he went like full lizard face.
Women know what I'm talking about. When if you looked at him, you were like, oh yeah, I'm going to steer clear of him on the public bus.
Yeah. It's an amazing transformation that Ric Flair went from being such a vibrant young man to being just that energy does not translate into his older years. He just comes off as a creep, unfortunately.
But what I really liked
especially when he's hanging out with the women.
But this was his way to, or I should say her way, to break away from, I no longer need my father at the ring with me. She is standing on her own right now. And when I think Charlotte, I no longer think, oh, that's Ric Flair's daughter.
Even though they gave her Charlotte the last name, which for the longest time they didn't.
I'm so proud of the fact that she was able to completely break away from being just, look at me, I'm Ric Flair's daughter. No, she is Charlotte. She's standing on her own. She's a good wrestler. And I love, I love it.
It really felt at the beginning like she was getting chances that she wouldn't have otherwise because she was Ric Flair's daughter.
Absolutely.
But she was also performing at such a high level and was such a, that's a name. At this point, as much as Sasha made a name for herself, Bailey made a name for herself. The next woman I'm going to mention, Becky Lynch, made a name for herself.
I do love Becky.
Becky's great.
I think it's just the Irish, that accent. I can listen to her talk, and
she has a great personality, and is also possibly the best of the four wrestlers.
Oh,
at least she started off the best. What's up?
I'm sorry. Can I also just throw in the mixed match challenge where they have the men in the. She and Sami Zayn
That was a great team.
I ship them so hard. I do. I'm like, oh man, they should have little cute
1,000% true.
Yeah, like ginger babies together, and I would love them. And then they could just, much like the Heart Foundation, they could just start this little ginger wrestling team where they just their kids come in and wrestle.
The downside of that is that Becky Lynch couldn't wrestle if she's popping out babies all the time. You got to take some time off.
You know what?
I don't want that.
Let her finish wrestling. Let her do it on her own terms.
Oh, okay. You know, in 10 years we'll start.
I'm sorry, just because you have a kid, you can still come back and.
Oh, you can come back, yes, but for those 9 months, you really shouldn't be doing that. Although fun story, Paige, her mom did not know she was pregnant and continued to wrestle a few months into her pregnancy until she realized, oh wait, that's not a good.
Yeah.
So she was wrestling in the womb.
Oh,
she has ring time from before she was born.
Wow, and not many people can say that. Let's be honest.
No, it's kind of unusual. Yes.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go off on that.
Oh no, it's fine.
I love Becky Lynch because she is not. She doesn't come down to the ring in barely their clothing. She doesn't. Not that there's. If you want to wrestle like that, that's fine. That's your choice.
She has been in a leotard recently, which is kind of a weird look. It's got a lot of butt.
Yeah,
but
however, compared to the bra and panty matches that they used to have, I appreciate that because to me, these women are not. To me, they are not eye candy. These are physical athletes, they're there to wrestle. Yeah. Some of their outfits still, I'm like, how is that not riding up into her lady bits? Like, that would be so uncomfortable.
Unlike every other time in WWE that I can think of, I don't feel like they made Becky Lynch wear that leotard. No. I feel like she felt like it was a natural evolution, or that she just wanted to stop wearing tiny shorts. Yeah. This is more comfortable, this feels better when I'm wrestling, whatever it is.
And let her go. Let her go with it. So she's one of where I think, I just love her. I love her attitude. She's also a very positive person. She doesn't feel the need to be mean or nasty.
Yes.
She doesn't feel the need to be a diva, quote unquote, you know, in order to get forward in her career, move forward in her career. So, and these are the things that as a woman, I appreciate.
Yes. It's funny, when I went back to...
Representation matters. Sorry, go ahead.
1,000%. When I went back to do some research for this episode, tried to look into the early days of these women, I had completely forgotten how much later Becky showed up than the other 3 horsewomen. The 4 horsewomen being Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Becky.
Yes.
They formed a tight-knit group, and for a while they were women's wrestling in NXT.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, there were no other women who were even close. It was like, okay, we've got these 4 women at this level, at top, and then everybody else hadn't even started climbing yet.
Yeah.
So they were in all of the matches practically.
Yeah.
And they deserved, like, there was no way you could make a case for any of the lower tier women, unfortunately. Which, once everybody moved up to Raw, it opened up that door, which was very nice. But, Becky Lynch, I've always held in my heart that a pain that she never won the NXT championship while the other 3 did.
Yes.
I had not realized that she was only in NXT for about 14 months before being called up. That is an obscenely short amount of time.
I really want to see her hold the belt longer, you know.
I want to see her have another strong run,
That's it, because I feel like she's one of those women who people love her, and she was pushed the tiniest bit, but then they just kind of... not that they threw her away, because they didn't, but...
She's become an afterthought.
She has, and that's very upsetting.
She's become part of the background, which Becky Lynch is better than that.
She is.
And I hate to say this, but most of the women's talent is on Raw. Like, there are 3, 4, 5 great women on Raw right now. Whereas SmackDown's got Charlotte, SmackDown's got Becky, and after that, they've got Natalya. But they also have Carmella, they have Tamina. I'm forgetting one, but they're all, sort of.
Well, they've always treated SmackDown, from my understanding, as the less than show. But
but it can also be the wrestling show, and they clearly have gone that way.
You've always said that, like, yes, they put their quote unquote big stars on Raw, and then these not as popular stars on SmackDown. Yeah. But SmackDown is those not as popular. Those are the people that they're not pushing, but they're the better wrestlers a lot of the time.
When they first did the brand split again, it seemed like that was going to be the way here as well.
Yeah.
It has not really panned out that way. There was changes in writing. It is really a lost ship right now. Like, it has lost its way. It has a few good things, but we're not talking about that today. We are not talking about SmackDown.
Let's talk more about the ladies.
Yes. So, while the women were tearing it up down in NXT, Paige moved her way up.
Yes.
Won the Divas Championship in her first match against AJ.
Yes,
night after
I remember
WrestleMania.
that. Yeah.
It was an amazing, just hit one move. AJ didn't believe in her. Paige wins, crying, like, wonderful moment.
I remember how I liked that moment. I was very excited.
An amazing moment.
Yes.
It was stellar.
Yes.
But then, who did she have to fight?
That's true.
She fought AJ mostly.
Well, I think Natalya was there. I'm trying to think of who else.
She did fight Natalya here and there.
Yeah.
The Bellas were there. Alicia Fox was there.
Yes. Oh.
I believe Rosa Mendez was there.
I think that it might be time for me to go on my 20-minute tangents.
Okay, well... Also, like, not really on the main roster.
Sure.
But not really on NXT either, because she seemed to be hired for Total Divas. Let's talk about Eva Marie for a moment. I
have a lot of very strong feelings about this woman.
May I lay a primer down in case anybody doesn't know?
Please, go ahead, yes.
Eva Marie is a model. She has long red, like, shocking red hair.
That's the best part about her.
The color of a marker, essentially. She seems to be a bee. She seems to have actually zero wrestling talent.
Absolutely, yes.
Even when she tried to learn wrestling, her movements were so bad and robotic that she never felt comfortable, and that is a huge part of making the suspension of disbelief is the comfortableness of moving. And her face was even bad. Like, she's supposed to be like an actress, but expressions. She had nothing. The best commodity she had was that NXT turned on her completely, and she was so hated that they could tell stories around it. That was all she had. Your thoughts?
So, okay.
I'm sorry, I kind of talked about everything.
No, it's okay. I do agree that it seemed like she was hired just to be on Total Divas, which, if you do not know what that is, it's basically just a reality show about the women the lady wrestlers, which you know what, sometimes I do like to watch it. It's not something that I tune into every week, but if it's on, sometimes I'll throw it on in the background.
I was really excited to see behind-the-scenes look at wrestling personalities, and honestly, I like the women as much as the men, sometimes more so.
Yes.
So it was a mitzvah.
Yes.
Let's say.
So she shows up. Okay, fine. Basically, here's the thing, though. These women are wrestlers first, and then reality stars second. That's how I feel about that. That's how I feel like it should be.
100%.
Okay, she was the opposite, except for the fact that as a reality star, she also was. That show did not do her any favors.
No.
It made me, maybe that's why I dislike her so much, because even on the show that's supposed to be about her real life, she was a horrible garbage person.
Yeah, she was a pot stirrer at best, and
I don't even
just
care.
an actual garbage person.
That's it. It's more of her interaction, with her boyfriend / fiance / eventual husband and her own family.
It seemed like she was constantly lying to everybody and trying to get away with it, and trying to get pity because things didn't work out when she lied and made terrible decisions.
Yes. I don't pity you.
Bad role model.
All I think is I don't want young girls to think it's okay to lie to a man to get him to marry you. But we're getting away from the wrestling aspect. Let's go back to the wrestling.
Total Divas also had Naomi as Trinity. Just being the best and bubbliest. And it had JoJo, who was so nice.
I do love JoJo, and I'm glad that they kept, because
she's a ring announcer now.
This is what annoys me, is the fact that you had JoJo, who actually was a pretty decent wrestler in my opinion, needed some work, but
I don't think she ever really wrestled much.
She did not, because they didn't give her a chance. Because instead of pushing JoJo, they took this red-headed pile of garbage fire, and they pushed her instead.
The thing is, not everybody can be a wrestler. You try, and some people aren't going to make it.
And that's fine.
JoJo apparently did not get there. But
she stayed with the company.
She was already better than Eva Marie
in
her one appearance in a wrestling ring than Eva Marie was the entire time she wrestled ever.
Let's talk about her wrestling. And again, I use that word lightly.
I do want to keep this short, though. I have a bunch more to say.
Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, so my 8-year-old nephew is better at selling than she ever was.
Yeah.
The match that comes to mind is where at one point she just laid in the middle of the ring. Someone jumped on top of her, and she didn't sell it. She just laid there, and
we're supposed to be describing her in the ring, not in the bedroom. Hey.
Oh gosh, you're so weird.
I made the bad joke. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't care about that. She's gross.
She's bad.
It annoyed me so much because you're passing over so much good talent. There's so many women who have so much more she just did not care. You could tell she did not want to be a wrestler. She wanted to be a model, she wanted to be an actress, and she wanted to be famous, and that did not work. I'm actually really glad it didn't work for her, because I don't know if the way she was portrayed on Total Divas, because I know I watch a lot of reality shows. I know there's a lot of editing.
There's not a lot of reality there.
But she was just horrible.
If that was a written character, they wrote her to be the worst.
Bad.
And that will follow her to her grave.
Yeah, and I'm alright with it.
Yeah.
I do feel go ahead.
If she'd shown up 5 years earlier, she could have been a big star.
No.
Because maybe you didn't have to be a great wrestler, and she did have a look. That's all she had.
You didn't have to be a great wrestler, but you had to be a wrestler, and she didn't even start there. She didn't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
they even sent her back. Let's get her more training, which they showed on this show.
Yeah.
And then they put her in, and she still was just horrible in NXT. And the happiest day of my life was when I got married, and second was when she was finally released.
Yes.
And one thing that I
You're the best.
one thing that I do that Jesse finds ridiculous, and I told Kathy, his sister, today that she finds hilarious.
You mean the host of the shows we watch?
Yes, the host of the shows we watch, is every time we are at a Target, a Toys R Us, a store that sells wrestling figures, if she is there, this is a thing too. She got an action figure, and she got one of those Barbie-sized dolls.
Right, and they only made those recently, which means they must have thought they were going to be able to figure her out when they made that deal, like, let's say it was 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, they thought, well, Eva Marie's eventually going to get there.
No.
Oh, no, she did not.
So every time we go to the store and I find her, I will take her off of the shelf and I will hide her behind things. Because I feel like no one should have to own that. And I really just want them to you're not going to sell them. No one wants her. No one wants her action figure. No one wants her as a person. Maybe if she's still married, her husband does. Or maybe he divorced her because she's a filthy liar. I don't know. So I'm sorry, that was my tangent that hopefully did not actually take 20 minutes.
No, we're good.
I
We're
hate
good.
her.
She was not the best.
But
other than the fact that she was a stark contrast to everything else that's going on here, she's not even part of this conversation.
I just really hope that they learn from that mistake, where just because they're pretty. Don't keep them around. Funny thing, women wrestlers who actually wrestle also have really interesting lives. Yeah. So maybe instead of hiring someone just to have an interesting life on camera, you could just take one of the women that work for you that actually can do their job and follow them around.
I will say something controversial and then we should move on.
No.
You don't even have to be a good wrestler to make it in wrestling, but you have to have a personality.
Oh,
you have to have a character. When you look at somebody like Carmella still hasn't really found her groove in wrestling.
Yeah.
But she's obnoxious, and I want to see her get beaten down. She has her place. It's a pretty good character.
Eva Marie, I didn't even want to see her get beat down because...
I was just annoyed she was there.
Exactly. Yes. I was like, you know what? This is where I get up and go to the bathroom or go get something to drink or... this is where I start reading my book while I fall asleep on the couch while Jesse watches wrestling.
Hey, Mindy.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Let's talk about #Give Divas a Chance.
Okay,
because that was sort of the on-screen turning point.
Ugh, yes.
There was a match. I believe I wrote it down at February 24th, 2015.
Yes.
It was the Bellas against Paige and Emma.
Yes.
There were 4 moves in that match.
You told me this. Yes.
Yes. It was an elbow. Brie Bella elbowed Emma on the apron. Paige shoved her. Brie kicked her in the belly and hit her finisher, and there was a pin. It was about 30 seconds total, and that was with about 10 seconds of standing around at the beginning.
Yes.
It was horrible, because at this point, Paige and Emma can go.
Yeah.
And as much as...
But could the Bellas?
The Bellas were improving every day.
Okay.
The Bellas were giving... you could tell that they were trying their dangdest to be the best wrestlers they can be.
I actually enjoy them as wrestlers.
They're not on the same level as the, wrestlers.
Yeah,
but they're solid. They got solid by the end.
They put some effort into it, and that's really all I need.
And at that point, you are showing that you want wrestling to be women's wrestling to be an important thing. You're bringing in these great women's wrestlers. You're focusing on the wrestling.
Yeah.
But then you're not actually showing it on your show. That was the only Divas action that night.
Yeah.
And within a few minutes of that match ending, #Give Divas a Chance started trending on Twitter. And the hilarity of it is that Stephanie McMahon, earlier that day, I guess it was the day after the Oscars, she had tweeted out a compliment saying that Patricia Arquette, she had a speech on equal pay and equal time and equal opportunities for women.
As long as those women are not wrestlers, FYI.
This is such a strong statement, and we should stand with it, speak your voice or whatever it was. And then the next day, AJ called her out on it.
Which I love.
AJ Lee.
Thank you, AJ.
How about we get, practice what you preach, essentially. She said it much nicer. She said it very nicely.
Yeah,
but both Stephanie and actually Vince McMahon said, we hear you, keep watching.
I don't think Vince McMahon hears anything, honestly.
Well, I think he hears the dollar bills, that he realizes that people want this, so he should give it to them.
I'm going to go off topic for a second.
Oh, no.
He clearly does not, because he's pushing Roman Reigns constantly.
Oh.
So he doesn't really listen to the fans at all.
Well,
but let's go back to the ladies. So
he thinks he knows what you want.
He's 75.
Yeah, he'll die soon. It's
Oh,
okay.
stop! Don't say that.
I know. I'm sorry.
R.I.P.
But it doesn't matter, because his idiot daughter and his doofus son-in-law are going to take over the company as CM Punk.
So AJ called her out on that because
and it took a while.
Yeah.
But that summer they actually brought 3 of the 4 horsewomen up to Raw, which created a power vacuum in NXT that it was pretty much Bayley against everyone. Bayley won the women's championship from Sasha at one of the best matches I've ever seen.
Oh.
I saw Sasha versus Bayley at Brooklyn. I cried a whole lot.
He did.
I am what you like to call me, a big puss bag. But
I mean, I love my husband.
No, I had deep emotional. That match
Yes.
was amazing
Yeah,
because I
I
went
know.
in being like, "Oh, Sasha's the best. She's the boss," and she was so brutal in that match that by the end I was out of my seat wanting Bayley to win.
Yes.
And I cheered and I cried
And I think when you told me you cried, I was like,
beautiful
"Oh, I love you, my big puss bag."
Yeah.
I love you.
It's okay. I
Such a big-
don't feel emasculated.
It's all right.
By my feelings.
Yeah, that's good.
Maybe you feel that you can emasculate me from my feelings, but I don't give.
I
a
don't.
What?
I
It does
don't.
not matter.
Cry it out, babe. Cry it out. It's
And
okay.
and I do.
Yes.
So at this point, the sort of like lower classmen of NXT,
Yeah.
Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax, even Carmella,
Ooh.
you know, they all sort of started gunning for her title, and nobody could
Yes.
beat her because she's Bayley.
Yeah.
Like at that point, she had beaten the best.
Yeah.
She was the best.
There are two quick things I want to talk about.
Please.
Since you talked about Nia Jax.
Yes.
Okay. There is one thing I'm sick of. I am a big old fatty, and I've accepted this. Like, there's no way that I'm going to be a diva ever. Okay, Nia Jax, also a larger woman, larger than the typical women they have as wrestlers.
Yes.
And something that really, and they do this with the men too, so it's not just the women, but they don't give them a chance to actually be good wrestlers, if that makes sense. It's just, I'm going to come in and I'm going to throw my weight at you and I'm going to pin you and that's going to be it. So I don't have a chance to be that technical wrestler that I really wish these men and women would give them a chance. So the whole thing with,
I feel like that's both a style choice and
Yeah.
probably hiding her limitations.
Oh, I mean,
because
it could
I
be.
feel like
It could be.
Nia's quite good now.
Yeah.
But she wasn't always that good.
Yeah.
But she could do what she does as a big woman.
yes.
And
like the whole
it's-
Alexa Bliss
it's a style.
making fun
Oh
of her.
no, that
just
is.
takes me
I
back.
mean,
Like,
I
you don't need to
understand
do
that she is meant to be reprehensible, and we
Yes.
want to make sure that people get behind Nia Jax and
Yes.
boo Alexa Bliss.
But, still.
But it wasn't that long ago that WWE was doing the same thing, and it was.
Don't they have a whole no bullying campaign?
Yeah.
That's what they're having her do. I just.
But again,
don't
she's the bad
understand.
guy. You're not supposed to side with her.
Yes.
So it kind of works.
Yes.
But I remember Piggy James. I remember Molly Holly having a fat ass.
You know what?
It's
you
not
did
okay.
tell me about
It
these
is
things
not
and-
okay. Those
No.
women. I mean, Nia Jax is a large woman, but you know, in the same way that
Compared to the other women on the show, she's a large woman.
she's
but
plus
she-
sized. Like
Yes,
much
but-
in the same way that you have some men who are never going to be less than 300 pounds.
Rusev is always going to be a big old guy.
Oh yeah, he is
You know?
always going to be like a thick hoss of a man,
Love it.
and that's okay. And
Yeah.
it's okay for women too.
Yes.
But like when you look at the other one, Molly Holly and Mickey James, like
Oh, no.
they were like 200 pounds, like
How
120 pounds soaking
dare
wet. Like
you.
they were not even outside of the norm of
Yeah.
beauty.
Yeah.
And yet they had the audacity. So it strikes a raw nerve.
Yeah, it does.
So,
it does.
I'm not going to be okay with it, even just because of that.
Yes. I also want to bring up something that saddened me, and we talked a little bit at home about this. How I don't know what her name was in NXT. She showed up in the Mae Young Classic, which
Okay.
was amazing. Just
Abby Lath?
sure,
Princess
but
Kimberly?
Princess Kimberly.
I'm going
because
to miss her.
I do not understand.
I'm glad I'm going to get to see her.
I have seen her. We saw her in Chikara because that's what we see. I saw her get thrown on. This happened on video. Upset me so much. I almost cried because I
that
thought,
was
"Oh my
brutal.
god, this woman is dead."
She got powerbombed by Chris Dickinson at a
From-
Beyond event.
Like the
And it
middle
was
of the ring.
dangerous.
I thought she was dead.
Yeah.
This woman can take hits. She is one of, in my opinion, the best female wrestlers I've
has
seen in my entire life.
Super duper got the goods, and she makes you care.
How did she not get a push? How did they let her go already?
Yeah.
She was on TV once. You didn't even let her. She had a good personality. She's great with the fans.
Yes.
The little girls love her.
She's wonderful.
And you let her go. And it's so upsetting because no one's going... I shouldn't say no one. People are going to know how good she is.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that maybe we can send her to Japan and get her, like, pull
sad-
like AJ Styles. You know?
I'm sad that... Nice reference.
Yes, thank
I'm
you.
sad she didn't get her time in the sun.
Oh, it's so upsetting.
But I am glad that she is able... Like, she was kind of just not doing anything for the last year and a half.
That's their fault.
I'm glad that she's going to get to wrestle again. She's
Okay.
going to get to get it on for the fans.
Here's an idea. Why don't you take... So, the Riot Squad...
Oh, that is our time.
Oh.
No,
Okay,
finish your
so
thought.
I love Ruby Riot, and she and Kimberly
Yep.
were super close when they were in Chikara, and they really teamed up together quite a bit. So the Riot Squad has this woman is that the MMA fighter lady? Is
Yes.
she in the...
Oh wait, no, that's the other. That's
Oh,
Absolution.
God, what is it? There's one...
Liv Morgan and
Oh,
Gabe,
the,
Sarah Logan. Yeah.
Sarah Logan, where she can't talk. She's a wrestler. Why not put her there?
Yeah.
She and,
Yeah, give her an attitude.
She and Ruby Riott already have that relationship together, so it would just...
Yeah, that would have made so much more sense.
Upsetting. So
didn't do it.
Not that Kimberly is ever going to hear this, but I love you!
Since then, like, they have pretty much done everything they can with women.
Yes.
They have main evented a pay-per-view.
Oh
They've
my God,
had
I love that.
almost every match type that you can think
I'm
of.
so happy
They have
about
pushed
that.
forward. They had a Women's Royal Rumble this year.
Love
they had
it.
the Mae Young Classic last
Yes,
year, which
love it.
provided a platform to a lot of smaller independent talent.
Yeah.
They have made great strides,
Yes.
and it seems like they are only going to get greater.
And I'm so happy about it.
We are actually in a time where I am not sure what the main event of WrestleMania is going to be, and I doubt that it's going to be Charlotte versus Asuka.
But that would be amazing.
But it
There's
actually
a chance.
could be. And that was unthinkable even a year ago.
I would rather see that than Brock Lesnar ever again.
Yeah.
He's
so boring. I understand the idea of the character, but he's just boring to watch. All right.
Thank God he only shows up 4 times a year.
I guess, bright side. Let's look at the bright side.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we are going to have to wrap things up.
Oh, sorry,
that is our
I talked
time.
a lot.
Yeah, that's
That's what this is.
That's sort of what this is. Actually, I had a wonderful time with you.
I know.
Thank you so much for being on the show. I would assume Sean will be back next week unless he just, runs into a wall. And
I don't
breaks his
know.
other hand.
I
don't know.
His hand is kind of broken.
Yeah.
But, I can be your ringer. I can be your, diva search.
I love that. I love that you're here for me, babe.
Yeah, of course. We'll have to pick something that I know, which is not a whole lot.
Yeah, but this was a good topic.
It was, because I'm a lady, so I have a lot of lady opinions.
We didn't even mention Nikki Cross, who's just great.
Oh, she's crazy. I love it. Oh,
such a good
but
character.
crazy in a good crazy way, not crazy as in like, I need this man. Crazy,
Yes,
so.
exactly.
Yes.
So this has been Then Now Whenever. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thanks,
either
guys.
on WLVU, on Facebook,
Yes.
or in afterwards, not live on YouTube as a
the
podcast.
future.
At some point, I'm going to get this together as a podcast. Thank you so much. Join us next Thursday. We're actually not going to spin the wheel this week because I know.
I know,
Do you
it's
want to
okay.
spin it for fun?
Maybe later. I
Okay,
will.
because we already have the topic picked out for this week, so we're just going to move that to next week. We're going to talk about, I believe it's Survivor Series 2009
yes.
and something from 2005, like Judgment Day or Payback or
Remember.
garbage pay-per-views, but we're going to find the fun in them. Join us next Thursday at 9, whatever way you like to do it, on Then,
Now.
Whenever. Thank you for joining.